Hello, friends.
Hi, friends.
Well, there was a glitch again. Anyways, besides that point, welcome to our podcast where we are friends who talk about Disney. Anyways, like and subscribe and listen to us on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to your podcast. Just make sure to follow us.
You did that so awkwardly.
I'm demanding. God, that was terrifying.
See what Janelle doesn't want you guys to know is that if you guys don't subscribe, she's coming after you, and then she's gonna hunt you down if you don't subscribe. Apparently,
Like that.
apparently,
Like
I have
that
no control
darn
over
cat.
Nice segue.
In case you didn't understand that joke, today we are talking about That Darn Cat, made in the 60s.
1965.
I was like, was it 62 or 65?
65. I think this is our oldest, besides the animated movies. I think this is our oldest Disney movie we've done.
It's a good one though.
It ended up being a really good one.
I told you were gonna like it.
Okay. All of the old live actions that we've done so far, Candle Shoe, this one, our unreleased episode on heavyweights,
The ones that I have picked out,
those three specifically, I have had no interest in whatsoever. I look at it and I'm like, I don't want to watch this. And for every single time I end up really enjoying it. And I'm like, I need to get over this weird bias.
see, I think you're really gonna like That Darn Cat even more than all of them, but heavyweights is for sure funny.
Heavyweights is hilarious. No, That Darn Cat, basically, the premise of the movie is that there's a cat that just causes mischief.
And the cat is an outdoor cat. Let's make that first clear.
He's just being a cat, follows a guy home who has fish in his bag, and that dude was some burglar. And so he followed this burglar home where he and his burglar friend are having a bunch of cash and are holding this woman hostage.
It was one of the bank tellers.
And the woman ends up putting her watch on this cat, and this cat goes back to basically its owner, but not owner. It's complicated. And so this owner is like, oh my gosh, this belonged to this woman who was kidnapped, and gets the FBI involved, and the FBI are
following this darn cat.
Following this darn cat to try and find out where the person, find out where this kidnapped woman is and where these robbers are.
Oh, sorry.
So, yeah.
But okay.
Okay.
I have been watching this movie since I was probably 5.
Yes, this is how you end up watching these movies, because you grew up having a lot of these older movies on VHS.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, they're on Disney Plus. And I'm like, oh. And then I end up loving them.
Great. I guess we have to. I didn't know about Pete's Dragon until we watched Pete's Dragon in your dorm room.
Yeah, I'm going to say, we haven't watched it for this podcast yet.
By the way, there is nothing I said in his dorm room because, that's what you do when you live in a co-ed dorm. You hang out in other people's dorm rooms.
Yes.
Also, we can only high five, so nothing happened.
It's true.
I feel the need to make that clear because y'alls have dirty minds. Am I wrong, though?
You're not wrong.
Now, the viewers some of you may not, but I feel like a good portion, probably.
No. We would hang out sometimes in my room, sometimes in common areas, sometimes in her room. We lived in a co-ed dorm. There we go.
Most of the time, fishbowl.
Yeah, fishbowl, aka movie room.
Yes.
Anyways, but no, one call out, this soundtrack is a bop.
I was like, I seriously knew you were going to like
I loved the soundtrack because
the music is so good. It makes you think of the Pink Panther.
It makes you think of the Pink Panther. Go figure, because it's a cop show about a cat.
Yeah.
But also, era-wise, again, it's in the 60s. So jazz is all of the rage of this time period, and so that's all the soundtrack is it's smooth swing jazz, and it's so classy, and the instruments are used for sound effects. like the number of times I heard a saxophone being used for a sound effect, it made my heart happy because I'm a saxophone player. But like it was so good. So good.
Whoa, I've never, sorry. There's a train that goes by. I
Yeah.
got distracted. Besides that point, there was something I was going to mention about the movie, and I'm trying to remember exactly what I was going to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
And it was regarding our own music and not just the Pink Panther. It'll come back eventually.
Okay. I like answering music questions.
Excuse me.
Mhm. Can we scooch over a little bit that way?
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel weirdly off center with there just being two of us.
Okay, well, now we
Okay.
reshifted.
There we go. Okay. Sorry, there's
I
no.
just feel so weird on this couch because, okay, so,
Normally we have a Megan here.
well, no, it's not because Megan's not here. I've always felt weird sitting on your couch because, like,
It's such a deep couch.
it's a deep couch. Sorry, friends. But
It has really big seats.
yeah.
The cushions are really big. It's not like your standard couch.
And I like to actually sit up on my couch. So, like,
Yeah, like if I sit with my all the way back, but with my feet like honest, like I'm leaning back, my entire like legs and stuff are all the way covered.
I
Like,
know we're supposed to be talking about the movie, but I feel like this is important to talk about the couch.
well, anyways, switching from that darn couch to that darn cat, I don't know, like so one weird thing
It's a comedy movie.
it's a funny comedy movie. But one thing,
Oh, I remember one of the questions.
ooh, yes.
Okay, one of the questions is not musical, but do you think this movie will age as well?
I think it will have a I think it has the potential to age.
Now, we didn't watch the remastered, like we did watch the original.
Yes, from 1960. So this movie, along with a lot of other live action movies, has been remade. This movie was remade in the 90s.
Except it wasn't originally an animated, this was originally just a normal
Yes. The
film.
reason I'm calling this out is because a lot of people, like you, we've had a lot of conversations about the live action remakes of the animated movies, but people don't realize how often Disney has remade movies.
Yeah.
Like this movie's from the 60s and has been remade in the 90s. Like a lot of movies has just been remade.
One thing that I find kind of interesting talking about this remake though, like about just general remakes is there's a movie I really like. It's not owned by Disney, but it is on Disney Plus, and it's called Confessions of a Shopaholic. And there's a different version of it that is like the high school stories of something, but like it was made after that movie. So they took a twist on someone else's story.
Wasn't it something like called Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen?
Yeah.
I don't know. But there's some stories that are just classic stories. But others, like Disney has remade a lot of live action movies. Like there's this one, Adventures in Babysitting has been remade.
Okay.
Parent Trap has been remade. Freaky Friday has been remade.
If you watch Adventures in Babysitting, please watch the original. Just keep in mind it is, don't watch the
Decom. It's a decom. There was a decom remake.
I'm saying don't watch the remake because the
Yeah.
original is so funny. The originals is an 80s movie, and like there is a lot of swearing, and there's also like a few scenes like where this kid, one of the kids gets a knife in his foot.
Hmm.
But what's funny is when you watch it on Disney Plus, those scenes are gone. So I have the VHS tape, and so I get to watch the original movie with how it is meant.
If we ever do an episode on it, we have to do the VHS then. We'll just watch it together.
Perfect.
So we can go off of the uncut version.
Perfect, because I love this movie.
But no, so back to that darn cat though. I don't know. The thing that when it comes to aging, I think the biggest contender is its treatment of women. Because It's a movie from the 60s, so we're talking over 50 years ago,
A woman in her late 20s
60 years
is
ago. Oh, actually 60 years old. Yeah, it's a 60-year-old movie this year.
one of the gals though was in her late 20s, I would assume.
Well, okay. So we have a number of issues. There's the treatment of the gal who was kidnapped, the bank teller. Like literally one of the first scenes is the bank robbers tell her to get in the kitchen and start making food. One of the very first scenes. Get your butt in the kitchen and start cooking
But this
if
is
you want your life.
I just kind of think of like the I Heart Lucy, you know?
Well, again, like this is the 60s, so it makes sense for the 60s.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm bringing this up because that's going to be the determining factor of if it ages well.
Except for Ingrid. Ingrid goes very well with.
The problem is not the female characters, it's the male characters.
Yeah, that is true.
Even the FBI agent was like, am I really going to believe this woman about whatever spout she's going on about a cow with a watch?
Mm-hmm.
We even see that the guy who had a crush on the older sister, Ingrid, very pushy, very male dominating.
There's also no boundaries in the homes.
But that's the whole thing is you're not supposed at the time you're not supposed to stick boundaries on men.
Sorry, I had to like find
At the time, men are not supposed to have boundaries. Men do whatever they want. They are high and mighty. You tell them no and they throw a fit. And you can see that all over in this movie. In fact, the only good male character, and I feel so bad for him, is the neighbor. Because his wife is a Karen.
which is so funny.
And it's a real Karen. Like she's going off about how her neighbors are like bringing boys over and the parents aren't home and it's a guy and a girl alone.
Shocker.
What could be happening?
Not the poo tang.
And so much so that like at the very end of the movie, she goes off saying that she's gonna go spy on her neighbors or whatever. And her husband finally gets fed up and calls the cops and says like, "Hey, I'm supporting reporting a prowler." She's like looking into people's homes and stuff, and so the cops get involved. They just grab her arm, and she just goes, and I'm like, "Wow, you are actually going full Karen." Like they haven't even done anything to you.
If you want to see how a Karen originated from in its true form, please watch this movie.
This movie, I think, is the origination of the Karen.
Except it said this movie was based off of a book, which now makes me want to read the book.
Mm-hmm.
What was the name of the book again?
I don't remember.
We'll need to look at the beginning credits.
Yeah. Well, we can do that after. But I don't remember the book, but I know that the writers of the book were involved in the script.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Because the next, like,
Which this
credits.
movie had a lot of like, sorry, trying not to get my feet in the photo area. But this movie did have a lot of good actors in it.
Honestly, yeah, all the actors did really well.
Like these are people you would know from other classical Disney movies.
I mean, only one is in a classic Disney movie.
Well, I feel
Well-
like The Parent Trap's got to be classic.
None of them are in the. Well, who's in the Parent Trap?
Patty.
No. Oh yeah, she was in the Parent Trap. No, so there are some from like older Disney movies, but not necessarily the most well known as compared to some of their remakes. Like the Parent Trap, most people think of the Lindsay Lohan one nowadays, not the original one.
The original one though is so good.
And like, yeah, some of the actors were on other Disney films. I think the most famous actor though is a character you see much later, closer to the end of the film. Is he owns he's a jeweler.
Oh,
Ed Wynn,
yes, that was in Mary Poppins.
Ed Wynn, who plays the Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland, and plays Uncle Albert from Mary Poppins, aka the guy who sings "I Love to Laugh." He's in this movie and he's hilarious. Um, but I don't know how much people would recognize the other actors. Like, I didn't really recognize them unless maybe you watch Planet of the Apes. But
Okay, so the Planet of the Apes comes up because we were looking up the actors and what type of movies they had been in while watching the film, and one of them has been in all of the Planet of the Apes
well,
movies.
it was funny because it's the actor who plays
Is
the
it Cameron?
none of them. You think of Canoe?
Oh yes, Canoe.
No, this guy. I think his name is Gregory.
Oh
He
yes,
has
Ingrid's coworker,
no, not coworker. He works in the building next door to hers.
the one who was
He's the
the
guy
guy
that
with the car.
he's the guy, the weird guy with no boundaries.
Yes,
He it was
the
I
one
was
that we shall not name.
yes. I was looking at like what movies he was been in, and it was just Planet of the Apes, Revenge of Planet of the Apes, Attack of Planet of the Apes, just Planet of the Apes.
Oh, and can you guess?
And then at one point I was like, "Oh yeah, this is a surprising one." And Jonelle's like, "What?" And I'm like, "He was in Planet of the Apes." And she just died.
It was
It was like
funny.
4 or 5 different Planet of the Apes movies he was in, and I was like, "Dear God."
Yes. It'd be like the Terminator type of thing.
Yeah, right.
Or like Halo, like
I'll be back.
the Jurassic Park or Indiana Jones,
Yeah, pretty much. Just one of those like, yep, 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 yep,
one after another.
yep.
Honestly, though, I really like the jokes in this movie.
Yeah, they were really well, and I love how like a lot of the humor was just very practical, like how like the FBI agent was reacting like to his boss when he was like, "You want me to follow a cat?" And the boss is like, "Yeah, why? What's the problem with that?" And they kept on making references to taxpayer money.
Well, in addition to that, like he also kept he started to make subtle hints about his allergies.
Mm-hmm.
But like also there's other funny scenes in the movie like where this guy, they're watching a movie theater, like they're watching in their car at the movie theater, and there's this guy who's bringing out food to cars, and three times he like dropped the food.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like it continuous back on um these certain parts that like just continue to recycle.
It's just funny. And like they have these like really big over dramatic moments, and it's really funny because when the first night they follow the cat, um it's funny
Oh
they're
my gosh, when they got back to the house.
oh, hold on. It's really funny because the main FBI agent's there on a microphone. He's like, "Okay, we're gonna have this like loose like perimeter around around the person that around the cat that we're following," and he's like continuously talking to them and looking at this map, being like, "Okay, this agent, you follow him and you go here," and this constantly moving thing, and the agents are so great at their job, they don't pay attention when the cat goes into the house that it started in, and they're like, "The cat's in the house. There's people inside. Are we good to move in?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, go." And they barge into the room where the agent was.
And the baddie checks under the bed and she's like, "Oh, there you are." Ah,
Honestly, seeing stuff like this, it almost makes me like we're so used to like our much more advanced technology now. Like you would put like a GPS thing on the cat and just watch the cat at that point. Like with today's technology. I would love to see a movie or like a reality show where we take these like cops that are so used to, like to today's technology, and we're like, "Here, do the old stuff," and watch them not be able to have a damn clue of what the hell they're doing, because they're like, "Wait, we're following a like doing all this manual work or whatever, not just looking at a screen at a GPS."
I mean, I wouldn't say like that, but like
It's funny. That'd be funny.
There's just, for me, I find, I mean, that would be funny, but like, I don't know, maybe it's because I grew up watching these movies. There's like something comforting. God, there's something comforting I find about these movies. Okay, so I've been crocheting. Sean's playing
Okay, if you're one okay, so if you're not watching, I'm playing with this little crocheted sunflower donut thing, and it
that
has
I
like a little hole in
crocheted
the middle because it's a donut, and I'm making Jonelle laugh.
because he's sticking his finger in the hole
Put my finger in the donut hole.
and then moving his little finger like tongue. No, I'll keep that off screen.
Hence why I covered the mic. But anyways, no. Was what you were saying? You grew up watching this movie.
Yeah. So, like, even though there's some things that are obviously outdated on a woman's perspective, essentially that she's there to do all the household chores, I really like the simplicity of the type of life that most of these movies have.
Well, yeah, I remember in my history class, like the 50s and into the 60s was a big put, was when life in the suburbs was like all the rage. Like it was all about settling down, having a family in the suburbs, away from the city. Nice neighborhood life
Yes.
and stuff. And I don't know, like I don't know what town they were in, but besides the crime, I wouldn't mind living in this place. The houses were nice, the cars were cool. Everyone seemed pretty respectful.
Hayley Mills, that was her name.
I'll be right back, okay?
Okay. Sorry, Casper is being noisy. But anyways, I was looking. Oh, that's also Sean, we need to watch The Trouble with Angels. I think you'll like that one too. Ooh, and The Moon Spinners. I like that movie. And it's a Walt Disney movie. Oh my gosh, Sean, we're gonna be watching so many 60s movies. Also, welcome to the mini segment of Jonelle on the Friends of Disney podcast. Um, sorry, I kind of drank all the water, you guys. I was thirsty. Um, here I am by myself. Oh my gosh, I just realized if I kind of like sit just right, maybe a little bit taller, it looks like I have ears on. Wow. Sean, look, I got ears. I don't even have to put them on. They're just there.
I'm
Okay.
back. Sorry, friends.
So I found a whole bunch of more 60s movies we're going to be watching. Sorry.
I had a feeling. But anyways, no. I think the soundtrack was just the best part about this movie. Like it was so catchy, especially like the opening song was like obviously the like main line of it was like that darn cat and stuff.
It has a very jazz is the best way to describe it.
It's
Like,
jazz.
because it is, yeah, it
It's
is quite
jazz.
literally jazz. And like at the end of the movie, you keep thinking, you're gonna get the like da da da, but you don't.
It sounds like like you're expecting the Pink Panther
Yeah.
theme so
Oh my
badly.
gosh. Every time I watch this movie, I just keep thinking like when after like I always need to watch the Pink Panther after watching this movie because of how much I'm like,
Honestly, the Pink Panther just knows things about the pranks we used to do.
oh my gosh, that was hilarious. I don't know if you guys remember the guy from Applebee's, but we pranked him multiple times. And every time we go to his place, we'd play the Pink Panther song. And then I drive in and go like,
see, it's funny hearing them call the cat like that darn cat because all I can think about is like Scooby Doo. And I'm like, you meddling kids and your dumb dog too.
Okay, I never actually thought of that one.
Yeah, but weird fun fact we learned. The cat has an IMDb page.
Yeah, this cat is famous.
It was literally a famous cat. It was in like 3 movies. It's like Sin the Cat, SYN.
Yes.
And I mean, besides like maybe Beethoven, like I never thought I'd see a famous dog or a famous animal like that.
I need I might just be bringing all of my VHS tapes for us to watch apparently.
Um, I don't know. What's your favorite scene in the movie?
Um as a kid my favorite scene was the movie theater because like that's where, most of the physical comical scenes are. And so as a kid like that's much easier to follow when there's like action within the actual movie.
That's fair. I mean, for me, it's probably a lot of just the cat mantics. Like we see at the beginning of the movie, like this cat tricks a dog and stuff so it can eat its
Well,
food
he
and
went over
stuff.
and tricked the agent the same way he tricked the
Exact
dog.
exactly. Um, however, I think I know you like this movie.
Yes.
I think it was a tad long. I mean, it has a 2 hour runtime, which is long for a movie like this.
I mean, yes, it is long, but um, I definitely, for me personally, I didn't get bored through it because like there's enough detail to always keep you engaged.
I mean, yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know, like it wasn't. I wish the pace could have been picked up a little bit more.
I think a part of this is sorry, Sean, I'm gonna go against you here, but I think a part of like why it's hard when movies are long is because we have lost some of our attention span.
I mean, we've lost some of our attention span, but I think it varies from movie to movie because, like we've watched some movies that were 2 hours long and or a couple hours long.
But also, this is your first time watching the movie, and I feel like the first time you watch something,
Not always. Not always. Look at when we saw Wicked,
well, I mean,
which is 2.5.
but haven't you already seen Wicked the play before that?
No.
Oh, hmm. I don't know. The first time I watched Wicked, though, it felt extremely long to me.
Fair.
Like anytime I first watch a movie, it feels extremely long and I start to lose interest. But by the second time, I'm like, oh, I know everything that's going to happen. And I can actually stay more engaged the second time.
See, for me, it depends on the movie. Because sometimes I've seen a movie and I'm like, holy cow, it's been 2.5 hours. 2 hours, 3 hours. Because the average movie is about an hour and a half.
Yes.
Average movie and stuff. So obviously, it wasn't too much longer than that. I think part of the other issue, though, is just there's a lot of things happening in the core storyline
I was like, there's a lot of things you have to pay attention to.
because like one character, the main character Patty, she, there's this like
She has a love
her
interest.
love interest that like is getting jealous or whatever and has his whole thing going on. Then her sister has her love interest that has his whole thing about trying to woo her, hates the cat, also jealous. You have the inspector, the FBI agent that's trying to
Woo.
coordinate things with Patty and the cat.
Get with Ingrid at the same
Go
time.
flirt with Ingrid a little bit.
And then
And
there's the Karen.
then you have the neighbors, the Karen and her husband, and then you have the robbers and the bank teller that they have kidnapped, and then you also have the cat itself.
See, I think this might actually like if this was turned on into a full play production, I think this like wouldn't be too bad.
Probably be the cat. It's too animal heavy.
Well, yes.
Most animals don't stay on stage that long. Like the one musical I know that incorporates a real animal is Legally Blonde, the musical, and
It's a dog in a purse.
Bruiser is only in a few scenes. It's only like 2 or 3, and it's specifically trained for specific things.
But I mean, it's not like, yes, the cat is the main focus on the movie because the cat was the one, that the bank teller went and put help on her watch and put it around the cat's um
Mm-hmm.
neck and then let it back to the house. But like, because of how much it relies on all the other characters, I feel like, because you can get some of the comical stings just from the
Yeah,
neighbor and things like that. So
but the
real
whole point of the movie is the cat. They're following the cat.
yeah, that is true.
So you lose the entire main plot of the movie without the cat.
I think that's where you don't have a physical cat come into play and you have like someone being a fake cat.
I mean, they could probably figure something out, but no, I just think they were just doing all the things going on that you got to pay attention to combined with just the runtime. I just don't think it kept up the pace long, like enough. Like it almost was there and stuff. I think what didn't really help was the break where you saw where they're like, oh no, we're gonna stop this whole cat shtick. It's not obviously not pulling out any stops or anything. And then the main character like, oh no, that can't be. So I'm gonna go to this jeweler and basically tell a lie to the FBI to get them to believe me. Like I think that's where it lost a lot of the pacing.
Because that's where it felt the most rushed. Was just like, well, we know it belongs to Margaret, so I'm going to go to the jeweler to make evidence that's not actually there.
Yeah, and then the whole following scene after that where he's following the cat and they do go through the drive-in scene. No, they didn't do the drive-in scene at that point.
No, driving scene was
No,
before that.
but that whole stun sequence afterward just felt like it took so long. Like the first time he went to that house,
Well, I noticed you lost interest at some point during the movie.
I lose interest because I was looking at my phone.
Yeah,
That just helps me pay attention. Sometimes my brain just gets to a point where it's like, okay, I'm having a hard time just paying attention, period. So I go on my phone.
that's fair.
Now, that being said, I did have a hard time paying attention at points because I just couldn't stay engaged
Hmm.
as well because the pacing would just waver. And again, I think that point where the main kick where Patty was like, "Oh no, I need to lie to the FBI so they can keep following the cat," and then they make this whole thing. I think that's where a lot of the issue came into for the movie. Like that part was really that's where the pacing slowed down. Like you had this build, 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 and then it just crashed. And then you're trying to quickly build it back up with this really long following scene where her love interest gets trapped in a door, which in a garage door, which don't get me wrong, was hilarious. Especially the fact that he was stuck like this with a crook in his neck. But oh my god. Like it was hard to get that back up there, you know? I think that's the bigger issue. If it were me, I would have axed all of that part, bring to where that second night where it's just him following,
Hmm.
have that be the night where they find the robbers, but start the movie off a little further back in time to like when they kidnap and do the robbery a little bit more so you have more of that context.
How popular do you think this movie was in the 60s? Because, like, obviously, this movie is not as popular today.
It's not as popular today, but I'm actually curious now. Let me click Darn Cat 1965 has a Rotten Tomato score of 94%. Um,
Oh, The Sound of Music.
so the Darn Cat has a score of 94%, but the audience score is 72.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, because apparently popular movies from that time was The Sound of Music, A Pouch of Blue, For a Few Dollars More, The Spy Who Came In from the Cold, Repulsion, Dr. Zhivago, Thunderball, Those Magnificent Men Flying in Their Machines. Okay, some of the names of these movies.
Mm.
Also, this was Google's AI that pulled this up.
Also, it's popular to note that with the jazz soundtrack, the soundtrack was actually done by the Sherman brothers, which are famous in Disney history, as they were also the ones that wrote the Mary Poppins soundtrack and the soundtrack for many Disney attractions and a lot of other movies as well.
A list of 1965 box office number one films in the United States.
Um, for awards though, it won. The writers were nominated by the Writers Guild for Best Written Comedy, nominated for Edgar Allan Poe Award for Best Motion Picture, a Golden Leaf nomination for Best Supporting Actress, and then um, won the 1966 second place Golden Leaf Award for Comedy Performance Actress, and then the Sherman Brothers won the third place Golden Leaf Award for Best Song.
So the main thing that I was wanting to point out here was essentially just that
It wasn't that popular.
I wanted to see if it was popular to try and compare it to something we would watch today.
It's very different than what people would see today. Like this would be still be considered an action movie.
But I
Like
mean if this movie was brand new.
it wouldn't, because if you look at like even just titles, just movie titles today are not that whimsical. Like no movie is going to be like that darn cat. Like we have movies like The Avengers, Star Wars.
Okay, well, you're going on Disney there.
Okay, I'll go non-Disney. School of Rock.
That was more 2000s. We need 2020s.
You want 2020s?
Yeah.
Wish.
Disney. Give me some non-Disney ones.
Wicked.
I mean, that one is not Disney, but that one is also based off of a fan fiction book.
No.
So the original Wizard of Oz actually has its own story. It's the books that Wicked is based off. It's a fan fiction from the originals that
I wouldn't necessarily call it a fan fiction though, because it's its own legit book series.
yes. But it just kind of became
It's a retelling.
yeah.
Because there's a lot of like other types of books. Like there's like a whole Disney series that they call like the What If books and stuff. I wouldn't necessarily call those fan fictions. It's a what if. It's a retelling. But okay, I'm trying to think of like other movies.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding #3. We got the Despicable Me 4.
Isn't there one that's like called like the Book Club?
That was in the earlier 2000s, 90s.
No, they had a newer one. I saw it. I saw the trailer for it when I saw the Super Mario movie.
Hold up. I'm gonna look up box off. Oh,
But they had Oppenheimer, Barbie.
oh yes, Barbie was another one.
They also had Oppenheimer. They had Gladiator,
Oh, right now there's Dogman. Oh, Sonic.
Sonic the Hedgehog. But then you have that darn cat. You see what I mean? The whole vibe of the movie just doesn't fit with the vibe that movies nowadays have.
Huh. What's interesting? Sorry, I'm on boxofficemojo.com.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, the only movies that have grossed profits is Her Eyes, Mufasa, One of Them Days, and Wicked.
But like now, one could say that it's so different it might grab attention. It all depends on how it's advertised. But the way that movies are titled, I mean, look at how many Disney movies are one words or one word.
Oh, Paddington in Peru comes out this week.
But like, but you know what I mean? Look at the number of Disney movies that are just one word. Tangled, Frozen, Brave, Encanto, Wish.
You're saying all Disney movies here.
I just said what Disney movies. I said look at the number of Disney movies that are all one word. This is a Disney movie, so I can bring up Disney movies.
I mean, yes, I just want to compare it to like all movies.
I know, but I'm saying as a whole though, a lot of the way we
Also, a lot of movies today are just reruns of or add-ons. Like Frozen 2.
there's a lot of sequels nowadays.
Yes.
And simply that's purely to do, like we've said before, it's the safe thing to do for a lot of franchises right now, especially with the culture of what rage baiting, is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hate rage baiting.
Like the culture around movies just isn't there anymore. People are wanting to hate something
So people go to the movie theater to go hate one thing.
and they blow it out of proportion.
This movie definitely would get hated on.
Oh, so badly. It would be flagged up as being the most misogynistic, unless they were to change some of the female characters to snapping back at the men, then it'll be fine. But otherwise, as it is, it would be branded as misogynistic as hell for the male, how the males treat the females.
Yes.
Except for the neighbor of the one who's married to the Karen.
I wonder what got them to get married.
Well, you know how the older generation always makes the jokes of like, marriage ain't worth it. I'm married to a ball and chain. I love you, honey. You know what I mean? Like,
Also, there was the whole thing of like, I don't know, did you ever hear this? Like, girls, like, growing up, I was always told if a boy is rude to you or, like does stupid things like fart in your face when he sits a seat right in front of you in math class, he likes you.
if she beats you, that means she wants you.
It's pure love. No, it's not. Please don't fall for that. Please fall for someone who listens to you.
Mm-hmm.
And you did not meet at the corner of Applebee's.
But
Well, friends.
did you ever think of any of the ever remember that music question?
No.
That makes me sad.
Sorry.
She makes me depressed now. I'm depressed. I'm devastated.
You should probably talk to your therapist about that. Well, with that being said, I think Sean has a therapy appointment too.
I'll just blame it on that darn cat.
Oh, DC.
Oh yeah, the cat's name in the movie is DC for darn cat.
Yeah.
Anyways, bye friends.
Bye, friends.